Welcome all. Welcome to the lecture of General Anatomy. Today's our topic is the lymphatic system. Basically, what are the jobs of the lymphatic system which is present in our body? The lymphatic systems, which consist of the vessels and organs, plays three vital roles in our lives. First function is it is to protect the body against infections by activating defense mechanisms that comprise our immune system. Second functions or the job is to collect the tissue fluids, solutes, hormones and plasma proteins and return them to the circulatory system. Third function it is to transport the fats from the digestive tract to the bloodstream. What are the components of the lymphatic system are there? So basically the lymphatic system consists of the first thing is the lymph, which is a watery fluid that resembles the plasma but contains fewer proteins and may contain fat together with the cells. Next component is the lymphocytes. Basically they are the cellular component of the lymph which include T cells and B cells. Apart from that, the lymphatic system contains the lymphatic vessels and the lymphoid tissues and the organs. What are the characteristics of the lymphatic system or the lymph? So basically the lymph is the excess tissue fluid carried by lymphatic vessels. So basically the lymph is we can define as is the excess tissue fluid and it is being collected in the lymphatic vessels and it can be circulated back to the circulatory system. What are the properties of the lymphatic vessels? Basically they are the one-way systems which moves the components towards the heart. There will be no any pumping mechanism is available, so that transport of the collected fluid or the lymph is going to take place. The lymph moves towards the heart by the milking actions of the skeletal muscles and rhythmic contraction of the smooth muscles which is present in the vessel wall of the lymphatic vessels. The lymphatic vessels or the lymphatics include the lymphatic capillaries, lymphatic collecting vessels, and lymphatic trunks and ducts. Lymphatics will originate or the lymphatics is the common terminology which is given to the lymphatic vessels. So it is going to originate as lymph capillaries. The capillaries are going to unite to form larger vessels which resembles veins in structures. It connects to the lymph nodes at various intervals for the filtration of the harmful substances, and lymphatics usually deliver lymph into two main channels. That is the right lymphatic duct that drains the right side of the head, neck and right arm, right thorax and empties into the right subclavian vein, and the thoracic ducts which drains the rest of the body apart from the right portion and it empties into the left subclavian vein. This is the diagrammatic representation of how the lymphatic circulation is going to take place. So basically it will start at the lymphatic capillary level. After that it is going to unite together to form the lymphatic collecting vessels, and next the lymphatic trunks might be seen, and ultimately through the lymphatic ducts it is returned back to the circulatory system. What is the composition of a lymph is there? Lymph is usually a clear, colorless fluid similar to the blood plasma, but the protein content in the lymph will be less. Its composition varies from place to place within our body. After a meal, for example, lymph draining from the small intestine takes on a milky appearance due to the lipid content. The lymph may contain macrophages, viruses, bacteria, cellular debris, or even the traveling cancer cells. The lymphatic capillaries are similar to the blood capillaries except they are very permeable and they can even take up cell debris, pathogens and cancer cells. which is not directly taken by the blood capillaries. Endothelial cells overlap to form one-way mini valves so that only one-way channel can be formed and are anchored by collagen filaments and which is going to prevent the collapse of the capillaries. Basically, the lymphatic capillaries are absent from bones and teeth, bone marrow, and the central nervous systems. Lacteals are basically the one of the common terminologies given as lacteals. They are specialized lymph capillaries which is present in the intestinal mucosa, so which absorbs the digested fat and deliver the fatty lymph, which is also known as child to the blood. This is the diagrammatic representation or the microscopic structures that this is the lymphatic capillaries. Basically, they are blind ended tube adjacent to the endothelial cells overlap each other like which is forming a flap like mini valve so that only the entry can take place, exit is not possible. Next is the lymphatic collecting vessels, which are similar to the veins except they have thinner walls, have more internal walls and anastomosis more frequently. Collecting vessels in the skin travel with the superficial veins. Deep vessels travels with the arteries. Nutrients are supplied from branching vasa vasorum so that the nutrients can be found within the vessel walls. Next is lymphatic trunks, which is formed by the union of the largest collecting ducts. It can be paired lumbar, paired bronchomediastinal, paired subclavian, paired jugular trunks, and a single intestinal trunk might be forming. So these are the different trunks where from the collecting ducts the lymph can be moved towards the heart. Next is lymphatic duct. Lymph is delivered into one of the two large ducts, that is the right lymphatic ducts, which drains the right upper arm and the right side of the head and thorax. Thoracic ducts arise from the cisternae chyli and drains the rest of the body. Each empties the lymph into venous circulation at the junction of the interjugular and subclavian veins on its own side of the body, which is ultimately combined together and return back the excess fluid to the circulatory system. So this is the diagrammatic representation. Which part of the body can be, the green is representing the collection of the lymph from the various organs and by which it is returned back to the right lymphatic duct, and the red is representing the rest of the body is getting collected and returned through the thoracic duct itself. Next is lymphoid cells. Basically, the lymphoid cells are also known as lymphocytes. They are the main warriors of the immune systems. It is of mainly two varieties are there, that is the T cells and the B cells. T cells are also known as the T lymphocytes and the B cells are known as the B lymphocytes. T cells and B cells are helping in the protection against the antigens. Anything the body perceives as foreign, that is the bacteria and their toxins, viruses, mismatched RBCs or the cancer cells, which is not directly a part of our human body. So if the T cells and B cells are going to detect those things, automatically they are going to fight against them so that harm in the body can be saved. The lymphocytes, basically the T cells, manage the immune response. It is directly going to attack and destroy the foreign cells. Basically, the B cells are not directly responsible for the attacking on the antigens itself. They produce the plasma cells which secretes the antibodies and ultimately help in the immunosurveillance in our body. The other lymphoid cells include the macrophages, which phagocytize the foreign substances and help to activate the T cells. Dendritic cells captures antigens and deliver them to the lymph nodes. Reticular cells produce stroma that supports the other cells in the lymphoid organs to locate in a single place. This is the diagrammatic representation how the cells are getting arranged. So it will contain the reticular cells, or on the reticular fibers might be there, macrophages might be there, which is going to engulf the foreign substances. Lymphocytes are going to directly act, that is the T lymphocytes are directly going to act on the antigens and destroy them. B lymphocytes are going to produce the plasma so that it is going to further produce the antibodies. Next is lymphoid tissues. Basically, they houses and provides a proliferation site for the lymphocytes, and it furnishes a surveillance vantage point where the surveillance of the antigens can be done. The lymphoid tissues can be of three types. They are diffuse lymphatic tissues, which will not contain any kind of capsule, will not be present. It is found in the connective tissues of almost all the organs. Next is lymphatic nodules or the lymph nodes, which in which capsule will not be present and their oval shaped masses might be there. It can be found singly or in clusters within the lymphatic systems. Lymphatic organs, that is in the lymphatic organs, they can be have capsules are present that include the lymph node, spleen and thymus gland. So basically they are going to surround that where the structure is located. The diffuse lymphatic tissues comprises scattered regular tissues elements in every body organs, larger collection in the lamina propria of the mucous membrane in the lymphoid organs. Lymphatic follicles or nodules are solid spherical bodies of tightly packed reticular elements and cells. That is the germinal center composed of dendritic and B cells and may form part of larger lymphoid organs. These are the references from where the contents has been taken. That's all.